I bought an $800,000 farm without putting $1 of my own money into the deal. I bought a house in Pensacola without ever qualifying for the mortgage and walked away with $35,000 when I sold it. I've used the same playbook to buy coffee shops, RVs, watches, even to help my 11-year-old build a business that did over $7,000 in 3 months. Most people think creative financing means one thing, subject to. That's like saying carpentry means a hammer. There are at least 4 tools the pros are quietly stacking on top of each other to buy whatever they want with little or no money down. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you all 4, the exact real-world deals I use them on, and the 3 rules that decide whether you actually pull this off or end up bankrupt in court. Let's go. Houses, watches, mobile homes, and beef. If there's a profit margin, I flip it, and I'll teach you everything I know. Here's the foundational concept. The thing that has to click before any of this makes sense. Every creative financing deal starts in the exact same place. You find a resource mismatch. Somebody has something you want, a house, a coffee shop, a tractor, an airplane, it doesn't really matter what it is. They have it and you want it. But somebody in that equation is missing a resource. Maybe they need cash and you don't have it. Maybe they need time. Maybe they need somewhere to live for the next 18 months. Maybe they only need some of that cash up front, but not all of it. The whole game is figuring out who's missing what and engineering a structure that gives both sides exactly what they actually need. Tool number 1, sub 2, subject to the existing mortgage. Here's the simple version. The seller already has financing on their property. Maybe they locked in a 3% mortgage 5 years ago and their payment is like $700 a month. You can't get a loan like that today. In 2026, that financing literally does not exist anymore. So instead of going to a bank, you just take over the property and you keep paying their existing mortgage. The deed transfers to you. Best practice here, put it in a trust so the bank doesn't treat it as a sale and call the loan due. Every month after that, you make the seller's mortgage payment like it was your own payment. I did this on a house in Pensacola recently. The mortgage was $700 a month and I had to pay it to Navy Federal. I did an ACH out of my account every single month so I never missed a payment. Then I sold that house on a rent-to-own program for a $10,000 down payment and $1,500 a month. So that was $800 in cash flow every single month I didn't have to lift a finger for, and I got that $10,000 down payment on top of that. All I had to do was make that seller's mortgage payment for $700 a month. Eventually, when I sold the house, I walked away with a $36,000 profit. And by the way, that combination right there, paying an underlying mortgage of $700 and renting it out for $1,500 to a tenant on a rent-to-own program, that has a name too. It's called a wrap. You're wrapping a new agreement around one that already exists. 3 parties are happy in that situation. The original seller's mortgage gets paid, the tenant gets a path to home ownership, and you sit in the middle collecting cash flow. That's tool number 2. And most people don't realize sub 2 and a wrap can coexist on the same property at the same time. Tool number 3 is an owner carry. This is where the seller becomes the bank. Say you have a house worth $200,000 and the seller has $100,000 left on their mortgage and $100,000 of equity. I could take the first $100,000 sub 2 when I buy the house, and then for the other $100,000, instead of bringing all that cash, I could look at the seller and say, what are you going to do with that cash when I buy it? And when they say put it in a savings account that might pay 0.1% interest, I say, what if I paid you 6% on it every single month? You could just be the bank. I write up a note for $100,000. I pay them 6% interest monthly. They get a steady paycheck. I get the property with $0 out of my pocket at the closing table. That's an owner carry plus a sub 2. I take the first $100,000 sub 2 and the second $100,000 is an owner carry. And you don't need an existing mortgage for this to work. If the seller owns the property free and clear, they can carry the whole thing on whatever interest rate and terms you negotiate. I've done deals where the entire purchase price was an owner carry note back. No bank involved at all. Tool number 4, the joint venture or JV. This is the one I started with when I had $0 and very little credit. When I first got into real estate, I flipped 12 houses on a JV. My partner had millions of dollars, I had very little. So we just wrote up a simple joint venture agreement. He brought the capital, I found the houses, negotiated the deals, ran the rehab, managed the contractors, and I sold them. We split the profit 50-50. He didn't have to do any work, and I didn't have to bring any of the money. That's the cleanest version of creative financing on planet Earth. One person has money but no time, the other has time and skills but no money. You shake hands and you go do deals together. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Because in the real world, you don't just pick one tool. The magic happens when you start stacking them. Let me tell you how I bought my farm in my backyard. The guy who owned it wanted out. He wanted to move out of the city and build a new house somewhere else in the country. But here was his problem. He needed money to build his new house, and he needed somewhere to live until the new house was finished getting built. Do you see the dilemma? His kids were graduating from high school. Everything had a timeline. There were realtors and other buyers who had tried to make a deal with this guy. None of them could figure out how. They kept showing up with a normal purchase agreement, sign here, close in 30 days, get out of the house, or I'll list your property on the MLS and you can move when it sells. He didn't like any of that. I sat down with him and his wife and listened. And here's what I offered them. I'll buy the entire farm for $800,000 cash. The day we close, I own everything, the land, the house, all of it. But you can live in the house rent-free for the next 18 months while you build your house. You take my $800,000 and you go build your new home. You keep mowing the grass, paying the utilities, paying the insurance, because all I want is the land. I wanted to build a farm. I didn't need the house. When your new house is ready, you move out and I take possession of the home. He and his wife said yes immediately, because that was the only structure on planet Earth that solved both of their problems at the same time. He got his cash, he got his 18 months, I got the property I wanted at the price I wanted. And to come up with $800,000, do you think I just paid cash? No. I pulled from my line of credit on my home and I brought in a private money lender for some of it. So the cash that bought the farm wasn't even all my own cash. It was either leveraging some equity that I had, bank money, private lender money. That entire deal was built on listening to the actual seller's problem and then reverse engineering a structure around it. And listen, this stuff isn't just for big ticket deals. My 11-year-old wanted to start a business and make money, build something real, but he had zero capital, none. So we sat down and we structured a deal. I became the bank. I put up $1,200 to get him going on a 3D printed toy business. He couldn't pay back a traditional loan because he didn't have any income. He's 11. So instead, I took a percentage of his sales until I was made whole. He did over $7,000 of revenue in 3 months and paid the entire loan back in less than 2 months and kept the rest of the money. Same exact concept as a multi-million-dollar real estate deal, just smaller numbers. Resource mismatch. He had time, skill, and energy. I had capital. We structured a deal where both of us were happy with. Lesson number 1. The price is almost never the real problem. Listen, every creative deal I've ever closed started in the exact same place. I shut my mouth and I listened. When that farm owner first started talking, the realtors were asking him, what's your asking price? I was asking him, what do you need this transaction to do? What is your plan when you move out of here? Two completely different conversations. Here's what nobody tells you about negotiation. Most people are trying to win on price. The pros are trying to win on structure. Price is one variable, time is another, certainty is another. Tax treatment is a whole nother one. Where the seller is going to live after closing is another. Every seller has a stack of needs, and maximum dollars is not usually one on that list. And if it is, they're definitely not distressed. When you can find out what is number one, you can build a deal around it, and you'll almost always pay less than the people who showed up just waving around cash and swinging the cash hammer. Hey, before I get to point number 2, I've raised over $150 million for my deals. Real estate, coffee shops, farm operations, watches, all of it. And I did it with one specific strategy that almost nobody talks about. I turned that strategy into a full training. Multiple videos, scripts, exact CRMs I use, this whole system. I used to sell it for $1,000, but I decided to give it to you for free. No pressure, take it or leave it. I just know it's helped a lot of people who have gone through that material raise a lot of money. Links in the description, go grab it now. I'm not sure if I'll keep it there, so make sure you get it. All right, lesson number 2. The tools are an alphabet, the deal is a sentence. And this is what separates beginners from people who actually close creative deals. Beginners want to know which strategy is the right one. That's the wrong question. Sub 2, owner carry, wraps, joint venture, these aren't competing answers. They're letters in an alphabet. The deal is the sentence you build out of them. One purchase might use sub 2 on the existing mortgage, an owner carry on the remaining equity, and a JV partner for the rehab capital. The 3 structures stacked into one deal. The Pensacola house I was talking about was a sub 2 with a wrap on top. The farm was a cash purchase with a delayed possession clause and private lender financing on the back end. Every deal is a custom build. Once you stop hunting for the creative financing strategy and start treating this stuff as modular building blocks, you're playing a completely different game than anyone else in the room. Lesson number 3, trust is the infrastructure this whole game runs on. None of this works without trust, none of it. When you take a house sub 2, the original mortgage stays in the seller's name. If you stop making that payment, they're the ones that get foreclosed on. Their credit gets destroyed. Their ability to ever buy another home gets crushed. And that's because of you. There was a case down in Florida where the guy took over a bunch of houses sub 2, cash flowed them, and just stopped paying the mortgage. He pocketed the rent and let those sellers get foreclosed on. He destroyed families, and the worst part, he didn't just lose his own deals. He killed the entire model for every other honest investor in that market, potentially. Now, when somebody in that city brings up sub 2, sellers think about that news channel they watch, that article that they read, and how other scammers are using this as a tool to take their money. They won't even take that meeting. Now, flip the coin. The guy I bought the Pensacola house from, when the deal finally closed, the escrow account had about $1,500 of my money sitting in it that went to him. He could have kept that check, cashed it, and never said a word. I would have no idea if he did. Instead, he cut me a check and sent it right back to me. Why? Because we had built trust in both directions. He treated me right because I treated him right. That's the energy this whole game runs on. And here's the bonus most people miss. When you're known as the person who always pays, always closes, always honors the deal, sellers start coming to you. They tell their friends, they send you the off-market properties before anybody else hears about them, because the pool of trustworthy, creative buyers is shockingly small. Be one of them and you'll never run out of deals. Look, creative financing is one of those skills where once you have it, the whole world starts to look different. Every coffee shop, every car on the lot, every house on your block, it all becomes available to you, even when your bank account is empty. Next week, I'm breaking down my brand new food truck that'll make me tens of thousands of dollars. The week after that, I'm getting into a crazy watch flip. And the wild one I'm working on right now is some big new construction lot flips that I'm gonna share. So if you're serious about learning how to flip anything, houses, watches, cars, planes, beef, whatever it may be, if it has a margin in the middle, I can do it and I can show you how. Hit that subscribe button right now. I'm dropping a new flip story every single week, and every one teaches you a different framework you can use on your own deals. Drop a comment and tell me the thing that you would buy with creative financing if you knew exactly how to structure it. Who knows? Maybe I'll answer and give you an idea and a tip. So if you got no money and you want to buy something, tell me what it is. I read all of them and I'll give you an answer. I'll see you on the next video.